My father's will was brutally simple. He left me everything, a modest savings account and a farmhouse I hadn't seen since childhood. The lawyer read a single, handwritten warning. Do not open the basement door at night. It wasn't a suggestion. It was a command, a desperate plea from a man I barely knew. My father had left our family decades ago. Now his last words to me were a cryptic rule. I drove out to the property, the city fading behind me, swallowed by endless fields and silence. The farmhouse stood on a lonely hill, paint peeling, windows dark, abandoned, forgotten. Inside, dust and decay ruled, furniture shrouded in sheets, every surface untouched for years. My father owned it, but he never lived here. He let it rot. I wandered through the silent rooms, each step echoing in the stillness. At the end of a dark hallway, I found the basement door. Thick wood, iron straps, ancient and wrong. As I reached for the handle, his warning echoed in my mind. A chill traced down my spine, colder than the house itself. I hesitated, hand hovering over the iron handle. The silence pressed in, heavy and absolute. I turned away, unsettled, the warning now a shadow in every corner. The house felt like it was waiting. I was left with a house, a rule, and a fear I couldn't name. And the night was just beginning. The first day I tried to dismiss the warning as an old man's quirk. My phone had no signal. The nearest neighbor was miles away, the house surrounded by dense, ancient woods. The silence was suffocating. No birds, no wind, just a vacuum that swallowed every sound. As dusk fell, the silence grew heavier, the shadows deepened, and the house felt watchful. Every creak of the floorboards was thunder in the stillness. I avoided the hallway with the basement door, but its presence was a cold spot in my mind. Night fell like a curtain, darkness absolute, the silence ringing in my ears. I sat in the living room, unable to read, senses stretched thin. The warning echoed, do not open the basement door at night. It wasn't about what was down there. It was about the dark. The house changed at night. The silence changed. I felt the door was changing too. I waited, listening for something I couldn't name. The house seemed to hold its breath. I was utterly alone, but I felt watched. The farmhouse was a vacuum and I was trapped inside. The night pressed in, thick and endless. And the basement door waited. I tried to sleep, but the house wouldn't let me. Sometime after midnight, a soft, metallic click jolted me awake. It came from the hallway, the basement door. I crept to the top of the stairs, heart pounding. The door was open, just a crack, revealing a darkness deeper than night. I was sure I'd left it shut. A cold draft slithered up the stairs, carrying the smell of wet earth and decay. I froze, unable to move, staring at that sliver of black. The house had a rule, and it had been broken. Or maybe the rule wasn't for me. Maybe the door opened itself. I waited, paralyzed, as the darkness seemed to watch me. At dawn, the door swung shut with a soft, final click. When I finally dared to check, it was sealed tight, as if nothing had happened. But the cold spot remained, and so did the smell. The house had shown me its secret. The warning was real. The door was alive, and it was waiting for night to fall again. The second night, I waited, determined to see what would happen. Armed with a fireplace poker and a flickering lamp, I watched the hallway. Just after midnight, the click came again. The door swung open wider, cold air rushing out. This time I heard whispers, faint, inhuman, like dead leaves rustling. The sounds grew, a chorus of suffering and rage trying to communicate. I was paralyzed, the poker useless in my hands. The whispers rose and fell, a horrifying lullaby from the dark. I started having nightmares. Faces in the dark, my father's among them, pointing at the door. The third night, I set a cassette recorder near the hallway and watched from the stairs. The door opened, the cold and whispers louder than ever. In the morning I played the tape. Through the static, a single clear voice, a child's voice, whispered my name. The fear became obsession. This was personal. The house knew me. The door was calling, and I was running out of time. The whispers would not be ignored. Hearing my name on the tape shattered me. I tore through the house, desperate for answers. In my father's study, I found a leather-bound journal, his. The early entries were mundane, but soon he wrote of the silence, the nights, the basement door. He described the same click, the same cold, the same whispers. He wrote of dreams, his mother pointing at the basement, her face twisted in sorrow. The entries grew frantic, things moving, photos turned, a shadow in old family pictures. He wrote of a family duty, to keep the door shut, to act as warden. The final entry, it knows my name now, it knows about the boy. I have to leave, I have to keep him away. My father hadn't abandoned us, he fled to protect me. But by leaving me the house, he led me back to the one place he feared. The legacy wasn't just the house, it was me. The house had waited for me. The warning was a plea, not a rule. I was the next in line. The door wanted me, and I was already caught in its shadow. The truth changed everything. The house was a prison, and I was bound to it by blood. I found the old photographs, generations of my family haunted eyes, a shadow in every background. As midnight neared, the house grew colder, anticipation thick in the air. The basement lock clicked, louder than ever, the door swinging wide. The whispers became words, ours, stay, join. A photograph slid off the desk, my grandmother's. I picked it up, the whispers swirling around me. On the back, in childish script, "He looks just like you." It wasn't my grandmother's writing, it was the thing behind her. The inheritance, the warning, it was all a trap. My father tried to break the cycle, but the house waited for the next in line. The whispers were a summons, the moving objects, a show of power. The entity was woven into the house, tied to my bloodline. It tormented my family for generations. Now, it wanted me. The duty wasn't to keep it in, it was to feed it. I was the next prisoner. I didn't wait for morning. I ran, chased by whispers clinging to me as I fled. I drove until the world felt normal again, checked into a motel, and tried to convince myself it was over. But the house wasn't just a place. It was an idea, a memory, a piece of itself inside me. The silence of that farmhouse now haunted my quiet moments. The haunting didn't end when I left. It changed form. Every closet door ajar, every shifting shadow, every whisper in the static reminded me. The house remembers, my father wrote, but it's more than that. The house follows. I left the farmhouse, but I brought the basement with me. Sometimes I wake at night, heart pounding, certain I'm not alone. I check the locks, walk my apartment, and sometimes find a door that shouldn't be there. A dark wooden door bound with iron straps. It's always closed, but a cold draft seeps from beneath it. I smell damp earth. I know with a certainty that chills me, if I wait long enough I'll hear the soft metallic click. The lock will open just for me. The legacy is inescapable. Every door leads down, and the house is always waiting.